attempt around the guard, overcurled, wrecked on the guard, and then Menard made the freeze to the back rock, and that kind of gets you up to date as to where we're at here.
Another attempt at the come around from Team Clark. Line looks pretty good. Nice freeze to the nose.
So red sitting second shot, frozen on shot rock on the button. Menard and Baker looking to play another freeze on top of the red in the top 4 foot. This rock's taking a long time to come across here, but it looks like it's going to get there.
Looks like the weight's good. And I'm just going to tap it a little and sit in front of it. Pretty good shot.
Yeah, so it sets up a really nice angle on the red rock as well.
Looks like they're going to attempt a run back here from Team Clark, trying to run the tight red guard onto the yellow in the top 4. Oh, maybe they changed their mind.
Yeah, so assuming that they must have decided here to play another freeze, or maybe a little bump.
The rocks are in a good position right now.
It looks like maybe they're just throwing the guard. Decided that their best chance here maybe just to try to limit Menard and Baker to 1, or maybe red is actually sitting shot now. It's very close, it looks like.
Guard's probably a good call. It's an easy shot to make, and the rock's in a good spot right now.
From the overhead monitor, it does appear to be 1 yellow, but that can be deceiving sometimes.
So Ray's playing a run back here. Looks like it overcurled just a hair, and he leaves the guard. He won't be real happy with that result.
Pretty good chance for Team Clark now to try some sort of tap on that tight guard. They can tap it onto their own in the top button. They'd be sitting behind a bunch of guards. It'd be a pretty good situation for them.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Menard and Baker, Ray rolled his guard a little bit to the center line, which probably takes that run back away. And he won't be able to make another run at that shot.
For those in our audience who are not as familiar with mixed doubles, we see here that Team Clark, in this case Brady, has come down to sweep the rock, and they don't have anyone in the house. We've seen a wide variety during this event of people sweeping their own rocks, not sweeping at all, sometimes in the house holding the broom, sometimes not. As a team, do you two find that you have a preference? Do you like to sweep your own? Do you prefer to have someone else sweep for you?
Yeah, so we've actually totally eliminated holding the broom in the house at all. We always have one person throwing in, the other person sweeping the rock. We never have a broom in the house to throw at. We find that 90% of the time there's something else, some other spot in the ice that you can pick to throw at, whether it's a spot on a rock, a spot on the backboards, and really the broom isn't adding a whole lot to the shot. And then we just let the person that's throwing make the line call.
Mm-hmm.
So
you don't sweep your own then?
No.
Each of you will release and then make the line call from the throwing position.
Correct. We do find sometimes that hurts us because you can't call the line as well from this end as you can from the other end. But overall, we find it more beneficial to always have a sweeper, have somebody to talk to about the shot while you're in the hack getting ready to throw. It's a pretty lonely place to be if you're all by yourself at the other end of the sheet.
Yeah, I think we're both used to historically playing the 4-person event, so you're used to having people with you, and you're used to having the sweeper right away. So it just kind of replicates that a little more.
Well, perhaps not what was planned there, but not a terrible result. Did open a hole in the middle.
Yeah, I think Clark has to be a little bit careful here with so many red rocks hanging around, and there is a couple options here potentially to get rid of that one red. Nothing extremely easy, but do have to be a little bit careful about where they put this one.
Yeah, Brady motioned for the in-off, using their own redstone there to try to get to the yellow at the back of the button.
Yeah, and I think certainly that in-off is there for Menard and Baker as well.
Not sure what choice they've made. He waved the broom back at the pile on his way away from it. We'll see what he ends up throwing.
See what Turnia sets up to throw here. Yeah, so it looks like he's throwing the out turn, so I think they've probably elected to throw the in off here. Yeah, absolutely.
It's probably a good call. You take that away from the other team as well. Looks pretty close.
No sweeping
This
yet.
looks real close.
Just a little flatter than they might have wanted. Still appears from the overhead that it is one yellow.
So it looks like potentially Menard and Baker can run that yellow into the crotch of the two reds and lose them both and keep all their rocks around.
It might be a shot for 4. Looks like that's what they're going to try.
Can't throw huge weight at this shot because the yellow is a third buried behind the guard. We actually just played our last draw on this sheet, though, and had a very similar shot in this spot, and it curled like crazy. I think if they're anywhere close to the red guard here, this will be pretty close.
Just throwing quite a bit of weight.
Came out a little tight and got it back to the broom.
Needs to curl a bit.
It looks like they're just going to get the one.
Good attempt.
So one yellow, it looks like. We'll see what they put up on the board here, but we're assuming that it was yellow with shot rock at the back of the button. And yes, that's the case. So Clark has hammer now in the second end, down 1-0. Updates across the sheets. Kaylin Virtue and Charlie Thomas took 3 in the first end, so they're up 3-0. And on sheet 4, the Brazilian team took 1 in the first, so they are also up 1-0.
Sheet 2, Hamilton took 3 in the first end, so they're up 3-0. There's no score posted on 5 yet, so we'll keep you updated once they do.
So Lisa playing the in-turn draw here. I think they may have a tough time getting this one by the center guard.
It's really curling if you're a little inside at all. It's kind of a lost cause. You really have to make sure you're out to the broom on this ice because it's curling a lot.
So they tap their own to the top 12. It's not a bad miss. Gets one into the rings.
Clark attempting to come around as well. Anywhere in the top house would be pretty good here if you can get it around the guard. Looks like they're sweeping for line.
I think the line's going to be okay on this one. Oh. That shows you how much of this ice is curling out here. That rock was half a rock over buried, and they managed to still tick that guard on the way by.
I would assume Baker's trying some sort of tap back here on that top 4 red one. Leave his shooter in the top 4. A little bit heavy, but he taps the red one out of the way. Would have probably liked to stay in front of that. Kind of rolled off, so gives Clark an opportunity to come around again.
Get another chance to make the freeze here. Menard Baker sitting second and third shot. So Clark needs to get another one in here.
Line looks pretty good. Might be a little light.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to get it there.
Not bad, it guards it a little bit. I think this is another come around attempt.
So we kind of found on this sheet that there was a spot out here that if you were a little bit heavy, it just never came back, and it looks like that may have kind of caught Ray on this one as
I
well.
think he found it. That's too bad. Great chance for another come around here for Team Clark. They can get anywhere around that top red one. Be a really good shot.
This one seems to maybe found that spot again that's taking a long time to come across.
All depends on
Looks
the weight.
looks like Kristen's weight's a little better than Ray's was, and it's going to get back there for her.
Just rolled off a little bit.
So guessing that Menard and Baker will take the run at the double here to lie 3, or they may play the tap on the top 12 rock. I think I like the double here. Kind of limiting the damage at this point. You certainly don't want to take a run at that tap and not make it pretty well. There's a lot of red rocks hanging around the rings at this point. This looks close.
Nice shot.
So not totally out of the woods yet. If Team Clark puts one in the top 4 foot here, Menard and Baker could still easily be on the hook for a couple points here.
His third shot. Yellow? Is yellow sitting 3? Yeah. Yellow sitting 3. Line looks good on this one. Maybe a little bit heavy. Well, she sits for shot. It's a pretty good shot. Would have preferred it above the tee line, but it forces Menard and Baker to make a come around here.
Yeah, you suspect that Menard and Baker will make a draw here, and Clark will probably have a reasonable shot for one.
Last rock for Menard and Baker on the way. It's a draw around.
This is a long way out there. Really needs to curl.
This one got out in the straight spot. Didn't quite get by.
Yeah, didn't really have the weight either.
No. Clark will go to the other side and draw for 2. They just need full 8. Here comes the out turn draw from Brady. Looks close.
This one's really dying, but it looks like they'll be okay.
Nice draw.
T-line weight. Perfect shot. So Team Clark takes a 2-1 lead going into the third end.
So over on sheet 5, they did put up the first end, and it looks like it's 4-0 for Carlson. Sheet 4, we've got Polo and Peterson took 3 in the second end, so they're up 3-1. There's no updates on 1 and 2 yet. They're just finishing their second end. Back to our sheet. Team Clark has the first draw attempt coming down the sheet.
Looks pretty close. Right back to the yellow.
Good shot.
Yeah, so our feeling is that the position of that rock's actually better than frozen to the yellow rock. If you freeze to the yellow, Menard and Baker will fall you down, make the freeze, they'll be shot. At this point, it leaves a little bit of room for Team Clark to move some rocks around if Menard and Baker do make this perfect freeze.
A little bit wider line here.
So that was a pretty significant rule change actually last year for mixed doubles. For a number of years, the positioning of that first rock in the rings was actually biting the back of the tee line rather than touching the back of the forefoot. So if you made that first freeze, it was almost always that rock ended up counting, or you ended up chasing the whole end and trying to get your 1 point. It really kind of opens up the scoring area, moving that rock to the back of the 4 rather than the back of the tee line.
This draw looks a little heavier. Might tap things around a little bit.
There's a lot of line too.
Does.
Yeah, they were hoping to curl to the inside of that yellow stone.
Yeah.
It ended up well outside of it.
Won't be happy with that.
That's the spot that we got caught on a number of times this morning. Just found that if you were much outside that 4-foot line, it just never came back. Then if you got inside the 4-foot line, you were on the guard. There was a very fine line of where you could actually throw the rock on that out-turn side.
You really had to have the perfect weight. Looks like Ray's throwing a hit here, maybe a hit and roll on the one Clark's just threw.
Now his came up nicely. I told him I would mention it at least once in the broadcast that his out-turn is a little different than everybody else's out-turn. Throws it a little bit softer, gets a little bit more curl. So there you go, Ray.
Was that mentioned in a good way or in a bad way?
I was just giving him a hard time about I was going to rib him a little bit on the broadcast, so he said maybe mentioning how my rocks curl a little bit more might be a good starting point.
It can be a weapon in mixed doubles.
Sure, absolutely. And there you have it, folks, the brotherhood and sisterhood of curling on display.
No, it's one of those things, if you can control and manage the ability to throw with different amounts of rotation, it's something that you can really use as a weapon in this game in particular, in regular curling as well, but certainly in this game. But it's hard to adjust your throwing style from shot to shot and still consistently make shots.
So it looks like Brady and Kristen, after some conversation, have figured out what they'd like to do here. Now, how long have you two been curling mixed doubles?
I think this is about our 5th year playing mixed doubles. So for the first 2 or 3 years, we basically just played in our provincial championships. The last couple of years, we've got a little more involved in it. 2 years ago, we were the Ontario provincial runners-up. Last year, in a 56-team field, we were provincial semi-finalists. Managed to qualify to nationals based on our points, but yeah, so it seemed to have a good run at provincials, and thought taking the next step and playing in some bigger events to kind of get over that hump and maybe win a provincial championship. Nice shot there from Kristen.
Yeah, really great shot.
Very good spot.
So have you noticed, I last played in U.S. Nationals mixed doubles, I think in 2010 or 2011, but what we've seen here at our club, and I think more broadly across the USA, is a dramatic increase in the interest in mixed doubles ever since we got word that it would be in the Olympics in 2018. Are you seeing the same in Canada?
Yeah, to a certain extent. I mean, I think Canada's taken a different approach towards. I think because it was such a late announcement, that there is a lot of the elite Canadian players that are trying to get into the mixed doubles scene. I think look at it as a second chance to the Olympics. I would say there's a limited number of highly competitive mixed doubles, pure mixed doubles teams that travel and play in a lot of the events. Kaylin and Charlie on sheet 1, certainly one of those teams. But it's still limited. It hasn't started to grow a lot at the club level as of yet, but I think it will.
Once it's in the Olympics, I think people will watch it and get excited about it. So I think a lot more clubs will start mixed doubles leagues, and I think you'll see a lot more of that.
Right. Now, you spoke about some of the rule changes that have happened over the last couple of years. Do you find those, having played now for 5 years, you've sort of experienced really all of the major rule changes. Do you find those to be better for the sport of mixed doubles? Are you happy with those changes? Do you find them to be frustrating? How do you feel about them?
So I certainly like the change in the positioning of the rock in the forefoot. I think it opens up the whole scoring area greatly. Under the old rules, where the rock was touching the back of the tee line, if you made the first freeze, the end was virtually over. It was so important to make that first rock. If you didn't make it and the other team did, you're almost always giving up 2. So there is a little bit more room for, not necessarily error, because there's virtually no room for error in mixed doubles, but it makes for a little bit more of a chance of getting multiple scores in there, even if that first rock's made perfectly. The power play, I like it. I think there's certain teams that still haven't maybe really developed the way that, or figured out how to best use the power play.
Sure. We've seen it used a number of times over the last couple of days, sometimes very effectively, sometimes resulting in an unintentional steal. So, yeah, it can provide some great swings and variation, I think.
Yeah, so I think our general feeling on the power play is that it's a great defense tool if you're up in a game to use it to get the play away from the middle and ensure that you're scoring when you have hammer. I think there's potential for it to be a great offensive tool as well, but I think more often than not you don't see big scores necessarily, but you almost always see the team with hammer scoring with the power play. So we always try to leave it right to the last end, hoping that we have hammer and we can keep the play away from the middle and make sure we have a shot to score.
Sure.
The only thing with that sometimes is you play the whole game towards the center, and then if it's
Right.
late in the game, you're going to the
Something's
outside.
going
Sometimes it's a little bit of an unknown for the
Right.
weight or the line. So sometimes it can get you in trouble, but in general.
So a couple unfortunate misses here for Team Baker and Menard. Up weight throw 2 rocks back, and then on their last throw also an attempted hit. I'm not clear if it was intended to remove the guard or try to come around and tap on the yellow, but 2 poorly timed misses there.
Do we know? Can we tell who's shot here? It looks close.
From my view, it appears to be red, but it's awfully close.
Be a good chance here for Team Clark to come in and promote that top red one in the top 4.
Yeah, if this has the weight,
It looks
certainly
a
they
little
can.
light,
It
but
does look a little bit light.
not enough weight.
Nope. Certainly not for the promotion, although if they are sitting shot, maybe they didn't intend to try to tap that up.
Yeah, so Menard and Baker are looking to make a tap here. Probably just with back 4, back 8 weight, I'm guessing, and just kind of touch it sideways to the top of the button.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if they can rub on the back red a little bit there, they could certainly sit too.
Looks like it's about dead buried, so they're going to need to get a little bit close to the guard.
This is out there.
I think they found another straight spot. I think that's 3 in a row they've missed in this spot.
Yeah, quite a bit of weight too. That's going to be
Yeah, it might have
bored by the time it stops.
been maybe more than she wanted.
So we'll see here who scored.
They're
Oh,
kicking it
looks
away,
like it was
so they
red.
must have
It was red.
known. Yeah.
Yeah, so red takes a 3-1 lead. Still tight game here. The only other sheet that looks like they have the third end posted at this point is sheet 4, and Polo and Peterson have taken a 4-1 lead through 3 ends.
Freeze attempt from Team Clark here. This one's really curling.
This might come right out the other side and not even touch the yellow rock.
Wow. That one really curled.
And that's what we were talking about, that spot. If you take an extra foot of ice there, you probably don't get back to the nose of the yellow rock.
It's a bit tricky.
So good situation here for Menard and Baker to try to drop one in the top of the 4-foot and lie 2.
The key would be to keep it above the tee line here. You don't want to come right back to that because then it gives Clark a bit of a wall to draw in front of.
So we'll see. This is the same spot that they were throwing in down the other direction, and it almost looks like it's catching them again here.
A little bit too much weight. Just
It
gonna-
may work out okay and push the red behind their yellow.
leaves them sitting 2 behind the tee line.
Pretty easy double there if they want to play it, or a good situation here to get one to the top of the button and potentially set up another steal point.
Line looks pretty good on this one. Maybe a little bit heavy. Right to it. It's a good shot.
So probably would have liked that red rock to have been a little bit more top 4 foot so that they didn't leave this same freeze for Ray again here.
Come around attempt. I think he'd like to freeze just on the left-hand side of it. Needs to curl right now. Here it comes.
Actually looks like a pretty good shot, I think.
Good shot. Chopped off a little bit. Clark will try to freeze to that one on the right-hand side.
So really important here for Clark to get this rock in a good spot with 3 yellow rocks hanging around the 4 foot now.
You have to be really careful on the angles in the 4 foot, how you're setting up doubles or hit and rolls or in-offs. If you're just a couple inches heavy, sometimes that changes things a lot.
I think Kristen may have found this straight spot out on this side as well.
That's not curling for her. Well, the good news is their second shot. Don't think that one's going easily.
So it looks like they're going to play a little bit more weight here and actually try to move that red rock out of the 4 foot. Or at least remove the yellow backing behind it. So it needs to curl. It's coming now.
Move the red one out of the 4 foot, so there's yellow sitting 2 behind the tee line though.
I think yellow's actually sitting 3.
Oh, okay.
But this is one of those situations where things can go bad in a hurry if you're yellow. Hit this in the right spot and yellow may be sitting 0 in a second and red may be sitting 2 or 3.
Smart call here to eliminate a couple rocks at least. Like to keep your shooter around if you can.
This looks like it needs to curl a little bit to get the shot rock. It's going to make a nice roll though.
Nice shot.
It's a nice shot.
Keeps her shooter in front of the tee line. Ray's going to need to try to move that red one back. Sit in front of his own. Open up the scoring area a little bit. Quite a bit of weight here, more than I thought
Yeah.
it might be throwing.
Yeah, quite a bit more weight than I was expecting. I think he's going to get it to come back maybe and just clip it out of there, but not going to stick around.
I think I probably would have just thrown like a back 8 weight, just try to move it to sit 2.
So Team Clark trying to decide here what they want to play.
I think they
Couple
elected the
options.
freeze.
They could try to move it and lie a couple, but it's pretty easy to leave a double, and if you don't get the yellow all the way out of the 4 foot or the 8 foot, probably can't get it out of the 8 foot. The 2 yellow rocks at the back are catchers, so the freeze is probably the right call, or even just the draw to the top of the button. Don't necessarily have to be right back to the yellow here as long as you're shot rock. Putting it right back where it was before Ray hit it the last time would probably be a pretty good spot here.
Thrown this draw a few times, so we should have a good handle on the line. Line looks pretty good.
Looks like they're
It looks,
sweeping to avoid over curling a little bit.
yeah, I think they maybe overswept
They
that
might have
one a little
overswept
bit.
it, yeah.
Yeah, so there could potentially be a triple here for a big score for Menard and Baker. Certainly a nose double for 2. I'm not sure that they can hit it thin enough to get all 3 of them going without jamming on the back yellow, but it's probably close. I think they've elected to just try to nose hit here and take their 2 points.
2 is good here. Tie it up. Last struck from Lisa. She's looking for a nose hit, I think, on that.
Gave it a
I'm
little
afraid she got
push
that
on
one.
the release.
I think she got that one out a little bit.
This is
Yep.
trouble.
If she
Looks
makes
like it.
contact, she may
Get a
still get.
piece.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it looks like yellow got 1 there.
I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, no?
No, a quick look at the overhead. It looked like it might have been 1 red.
Oh, sorry. Yes, yeah, 1 red.
I guess we'll know when we see this setup.
Yeah,
it was
so
1 red.
so 1 red there.
Sure enough, they've hung it.
Yeah, so a couple score updates. Sheet 4, Polo and Peterson now up 6-1 on the Brazilian team. Still no update from Sheet 3 on Sheet 5. Sheet 2, we have Hamilton's up 4-1 after 3 ends. And still no update from Sheet 1 for the 3rd end.
It was 5-0 after 2. I'm not sure what happened in the 3rd. Fifth end underway on our feature sheet. Clark is up 4-1.
It's a little bit more weight on this one here.
Just gonna tap it back a little bit. Still a pretty good shot.
So Ray will try to follow him down and make the freeze here.
Looks like a lot of weight.
I think we found this heavy, wide spot again that's not doing anybody any favors. This one is coming back.
We might get a piece of it.
Not enough. Does stick around in the back of the house, but not what he was hoping for there.
So Clark's calling for top of the forefoot. Is that what you would play?
Yeah, I think that's a really good spot to put this. If you're right back to it, it gives them a chance to maybe draw down and sit shot. But if you're in the top 4 buried behind that guard, they're going to have to peel or try some sort of run back. They're going to be scrambling a little bit.
Interesting turn choice. Kristen's throwing the out. I guess they're looking for the overcurl.
I think maybe they prefer this side of the sheet, is what it kind of looks like. They've thrown on this side most shots.
She looks heavy.
Yeah, this looks heavy.
Yeah, so you definitely don't want to put it beside the other red one.
Not a good spot.
So the one red rock is in the rings, in the forefoot, is still in a pretty good spot. Can't really be removed at this point by Menard and Baker. So Lisa trying to make a freeze here and keep it in a good angle, somewhere on the high side.
Looks like Ray and Lisa changed positions for this end. Got Lisa throwing the middle 3 now.
Oh yeah, I hadn't noticed that. So that's another kind of quirky rule about mixed doubles, is that you can change the order of your throwers from end to end. Don't see it a lot, but it does happen occasionally.
Yellowstone slipped a little deep, and it does appear to be one red still.
It set up a really nice angle on the 2 red rocks, although it's a little deep. At this point, contact anywhere with that yellow rock on the outside, and both reds are out of the rings. So
Right.
Clark will have to be a little careful to make sure that they actually get to the inside of the yellow rock here. If they freeze it on the outside, Menard and Baker will probably have a pretty easy shot to eliminate a bunch of red rocks.
Now, you were speaking about changing positions or throwing positions between ends. Is that something the two of you have done in the past? Is it something you talk about occasionally? And what might cause you to make that change during a game?
Normally we try to pick what our lineup is and stick with that for the whole event. Usually if we do a change, it's because we're struggling and we just want to change something up. So that's really the only time we've historically done that. We generally just try to stick to the plan.
Sometimes if we're in a game where we're up a lot of points, we may switch. If I was throwing 1 and 5, to have me throw the middle rocks, just because of the extra weight maybe that you need to eliminate rocks.
Do you find in traditional four-person curling, there's sort of understood roles? You want your second and third to have the ability to hit more so perhaps than your lead. When you're deciding who's going to throw your 1 and 5 rocks, do you come into a game with a strategy specific to the team you're against, if you think you need to hit more or draw more, or do you just, is it based on who seems to be throwing better that day?
So generally we start with myself throwing the first and the fifth rock. I'm kind of a lifetime lead in competitive men's curling, so our general feeling is that those draws to the forefoot are shots that I'm used to playing on a regular basis. I'm used to throwing the first rock at the end, which sometimes is it's sometimes easy to maybe not take that first rock as seriously because you think you have the whole end ahead of you, but especially in mixed doubles, it's extremely important. Katie's a back-end women's player, so the shots that she's playing with the middle 3 are probably more similar to what she's playing as a vice or a skip.
We kind of switched this weekend. We were struggling a little bit in our first game, and so we switched it up, and I threw 1 and 5 for most of the weekend. I just seemed to have my draw weight, so we decided that was kind of a weapon. That first rock is arguably the most important rock. So, yeah, it's kind of just a feel, how we're feeling.
So while we've been chatting, the end has developed a little bit here. Not sure if the Clark team intended for that last throw to stop at the top 8 or if they wanted to be a bit deeper.
Yeah, so Menard and Baker with their one rock on the button, but kind of running out of space here to get a second one in there.
Come around attempt here. Rolled off a little
Yeah,
bit.
won't be real
little
happy
heavy
with
there.
that.
Didn't get second shot. Looks like they maybe left a double for Clark here.
It won't be able to throw a lot of weight at it, I don't think. The inside edge of that yellow rock is at best probably edge on edge with the red guard, so
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of space.
and has to be a little careful. If he gets out a little bit here, you probably lose or move your red rock and open up the scoring area a little bit for Menard and Baker to get their second point in there with their last rock.
It's just inside the 4-foot line, so it's not out in that straight path, so this should run pretty normally.
So he's throwing quite a bit of weight here.
Yeah, quite a bit of weight.
Looks
on
pretty
about
good.
nose right now. Coming over.
Don't think he's going to move the yellow.
Just moved it an
Just a
inch.
bit.
He may have.
I can't
I'm
tell
not-
if he got
It's
shot or
very
not.
close.
Yeah, we can't tell any better from here.
Either way, it's a good shot. It's going to be pretty tough for Baker to get in there.
This may be one of those rocks that you throw into the boards
And hope you're shot.
and hope you're shot, yeah.
'Cause you-
They're kind of at a point on the scoreboard, though, where if it's even iffy, they almost have to take a chance here to make sure they score their one. Really can't afford to give up another point here. It looks like he's motioning towards the board, so I'm assuming that they're just throwing this rock away.
Mm.
Good shot from Brady there. Even though he didn't get shot, he made it almost impossible for the other team to get to. So it's a successful force.
So we'll find out here for sure who shot rock. It looks like it's close. While they're deciding, we'll give you an update from across the sheets. Virtue and Thomas now have a 10-0 lead on sheet 1 after 4 ends. No update, I don't believe, on sheet 2. They're kind of standing in front of the scoreboard, but
It's
Looks like 4-1 after 3.
Yeah, they haven't posted the fourth.
sheet 4 we have Polo and Peterson up 6-1, and on sheet 5 we have Carlson, Baton up 7-1 after 4. Sorry, Carlson, McLean.
And here back on sheet 3, they have posted 1 point for Baker Menard, so it's 4-2. Clark over Baker Menard.
So both these teams looking to go to 3-2, like we had mentioned, and keep their hopes alive. But they're kind of at a point, even with a 3-2 record, where they're going to need some help from some other teams out there.
Ray with the chance to make that first freeze. Needs to curl a bit. Didn't quite get the curl they were looking for there, but the weight was pretty good. Left it pretty open.
Yeah, so Clark will probably either try to draw to the top 4 foot on the other side, or they may try to move that yellow back to the back of the 4 foot here.
Tapping that back and rolling a little bit behind the guard would be a really good shot.
Yeah, just looking at the line, this certainly seems to be the tap.
Might over curl.
It
This
is.
one's really
It's
curling.
on the guard.
Oh boy. Yeah, just before the hog line, it
Took a sharp
started
turn.
biting.
Not a terrible result for them. Moved the center guard off, opened up the path into the 4 foot a little bit, and rolled the shooter into the rings. So now Menard and Baker have to be careful to make sure they don't set up a double, or could be looking at a lot of red rocks in the rings.
Not sure what they've decided to throw here.
It does appear, looking at the overhead monitor, that yellow's sitting 1 right now. So do you like a guard, or do you want to get more rocks in close to the button?
Yeah, I think at this point I'd be trying to get another one into the rings. It's probably a little early to be trying to guard, and there's so much swing out here that it's hard to put a guard in a perfect place where you don't leave them some sort of shot around the guard.
Right. This is going to be on the red.
I'm not sure where they were trying to place that one.
So they did leave a double here. If this double's made, red would be sitting 2 pretty well lined up on the center line.
Does look like that's what they're going to try.
Even just a little hit and roll here is not bad. This looks close
It's
to the
curling.
double.
It's really curling.
Ooh.
I think they wanted to hit the other one first. I think that over curled on them. Rolled out of the rings.
So that leaves Menard and Baker the same shot that they attempted on the last one, looking to make this one somewhere higher in the 4 foot.
So when you're playing mixed doubles, do you find that you miss the 4th end break? Or does the game go so fast you don't even notice?
The 4th end break thing in most men's and women's events doesn't really happen either. It's really in just kind of our Canadian provincial playdowns where you see those breaks happening. So I don't really notice that too much of as a factor.
The game's usually going by so quick, it's the 6th end before you know it.
I'm not really sure where they were trying to put that. I think they were trying to get it to curl a little bit more. Again, leaving a pretty easy double here.
Yeah, it seemed like they were trying to get a little more under the guard, a little more separation between these two.
I think no matter where you put it, you're probably going to leave a double unless they wanted to be higher.
So not throwing very much weight by the looks of it at this double, with the amount of ice that they're taking.
Yeah, she adds a little push out of hand. This
Maybe
is
straightens it
definitely
out.
normal up.
It's close.
It's close to the
Curling
guard.
again.
Wow, that really
Ooh.
curled for her. Stayed around.
Yeah,
Second,
so
third,
Menard and
fourth.
Baker are now in a little bit of trouble here with so many red rocks hanging around. They may have to look at switching gears and eliminate some rocks. Really can't afford to give up a big end here with the scoreboard the way it is. Could make a perfect draw around the yellow guard and you might get out of it.
You could play a double on those two on the right-hand side and roll your shooter in front would be a pretty good option. At least you're eliminating a rock or two. It's getting a little bit scary. I think they're going to try to draw again.
Yeah, so it looks like they're almost trying to over curl the guard and come out the other side and leave it ahead of the other yellow rock as well, so that there's no double off of the current yellow rock. I really like the double on the two reds on the right-hand side and try to roll your shooter over to the center line area somewhere. Kind of accomplish two things at once. Guard your yellow, but also eliminate some red rocks, so if things don't go your way, you're not giving up a huge end.
I'm just taking the other turn, just going to try to come around the other way and accomplish that draw to the top 8. Looks a little heavy.
Yeah, this was really sliding.
Starting to curl
It's getting
now.
better. Really just need to touch the 4-foot here and be second shot.
Maybe a little deeper than they wanted.
Yeah,
so.
unfortunately left a double, and I think eventually we're going to see one of these doubles made, and they'll be in a bit of trouble here. If this double's made, Menard and Baker aren't going to have a lot of great options. This needs to curl to make the double.
Yeah, she set it out a little bit. I think it's just on the
Just a hit and roll.
on the inside. Yep.
So this just shows you how quickly things can turn around. If Menard and Baker can drop one on top of that yellow rock in the top 4-foot, all of a sudden they're in pretty good shape here. We'll probably see Clarks have to play a draw to the pin to get their 1 point.
Things can change in one shot. That's almost the difference between mixed doubles and 4-person curling. Sometimes in 4-person curling you can afford a half shot once an end and the rest of the shots can make up for it, but in mixed doubles there's not enough rocks for that. One half shot can be the difference.
So really anywhere kind of on the center line, even in a little bit higher in the rings, leaves them in a pretty good spot here. You could see some sort of angle slash shot with the red rock in the top 12, but so right to it is ideal, but biting the 4-foot would be great. Full 8-foot is not terrible.
Lot of ice
Lot of
here.
line
Is this
right
a
now.
hit?
I think it's supposed to be freezing on top of the yellow, but
That's
A little
has
wide
a
and
lot
heavy.
of ice.
Might
a lot
just-
of ice and a lot of weight.
So you want to make sure this is behind the other yellow rock now, so you don't leave a double. So although it's not ideal, it probably eliminates any multiple score for Team Clark here. He may be able to hit this yellow on the inside with big weight and push the yellow up and out of the 4-foot.
Right. He's going to lose the red at the back, but he certainly appears to be
I'm
trying to move both yellows enough to get 2 or 3 here.
I'm thinking he can make the double and not lose the red at the back.
Really?
I think if he hits it on the inside, I think what he's thinking is just to push that second yellow rock just out of the 4-foot and have his shooter and the one in the back of the 4 count for 2.
Lots of weight. I think he's going to push it farther than that. He wants to hit a little thick and move over, but it's not curling quite enough.
So he gets his 1.
So it looks like we've had some interesting action over on sheet 5 in the 5th end. Team Baton scored 4 to get back in the game. They were down 7-1, now down 7-5 in the 6th behind Team McLean.
Yeah, that's the thing about mixed doubles is the game's never over.
Well, unless you're on sheet 1 where they have ended the game. Final posted score 10-0. And we don't see an update after that, so they may have shook without finishing the 5th end.
So it looks like Menard and Baker have elected to use the power play here. Probably makes sense as this will probably be their last opportunity with the hammer in this game. So use the power play in your last chance. So it'll be interesting to see here how Clarks decide to defend against the power play. There's a few different options. You can freeze the yellow rock. See a lot of teams ticking the red rock into the rings. See a lot of teams drawing to the forefoot because it can't be hit. See some teams that are down even throwing center guards. So I'm still seeing a lot of variety as to how people choose to defend against the power play.
Another update, sheet 4, they shook as well. Peterson beat Shibuya, looks like 10-2.
So
They elected to draw to the top 4. They ended up in the top 8. So I think you'll see Baker here try to sink another one around that corner guard.
Now, when you're setting up the power play, who gets to decide on the line? Is it the team with the hammer, the team without the hammer? I notice sometimes they'll take turns looking at it. Sometimes the person in the hack will call down and say, hey, it's a little off, and tweak the rock positions a little bit.
yeah, you're supposed to stand in the middle of the hack and not be able to see the rock in the rings from the center of the hack. This looks like a pretty good shot
Got
from Ray.
a nice
here.
curl here.
Nice come around.
That's a beaut. A couple of inches of separation, but
And we found that that's maybe the problem with going to the top 4 and ignoring that rock behind the corner is you're giving the other team an opportunity to get a second one behind there. For quite some time we thought that the draw to the forefoot was a good way of defending against the power play, but found more often than not we ended up kind of chasing and too many opposition rocks hanging around in the rings. It's great if you throw that top 4 and then you throw the perfect guard on it for the rest of the end, but if you
Sure.
miss one guard, you're in a ton of trouble in a
Really
hurry.
hard to do.
right. Now it looks like
Looks like they chose to tick
Kristen's
this.
over curled here. I don't think that was the plan, but it's an effective plan B, I suppose.
Yeah, I think they were trying to freeze to it actually, but
Right, come
over
down to it.
curled.
So when you are against the power play, do you choose to put your first rock in behind that corner guard as well?
That's
just draw down to it?
that's been what we've been doing is try to freeze and get shot rock. If you make that freeze and get shot rock, it pretty well takes the effectiveness of the power play away from the other team.
We kind of found if you were a little bit light too, and just in the top house, it kind of chokes off that draw for them.
Sure.
So even if you don't get shot, you kind of put your rock in a good spot, and it's kind of in the way. So
Force them to change their strategy.
yeah.
So Menard is going to try to sit on the redstone.
I'm guessing they must have elected to play the freeze on the red here. It's going to over curl, but end up just behind the red guard.
Not shot, but they are 2-3-4.
Leaves a double for Team Clark here on the 2 yellows. Might even be a triple.
I suppose with enough weight here and hit thinly,
Looking
there
to
could
get
be
rid
a
of
triple.
a couple anyway.
Oh, big shove from Kristen here. Added a lot of weight. Just looking at the double
Looks like
right
she's
now.
going to make the double.
It's a good
Yep.
shot. Gonna try to sink one around that corner guard again.
So still lots of opportunity here for Ray and Lisa if they can make a freeze here, come around, make a second rock around that corner guard. So only one other game left out here on the ice on sheet 5, and Red Rocks, Baton and Walker actually stole another one in 6, so it's now a 1-point game. So it went from a 6-point game to a 1-point game in the course of 2 ends.
And there you have it, people, the excitement of mixed doubles. If you're not playing it, perhaps you should be.
It's definitely an exciting game. It's a little different going back and forth from mixed doubles to 4-person, where there's not usually as many rocks in play. But no, we find mixed doubles pretty interesting and exciting.
In the years when I was playing, and this was fairly early when it was new, there was a lot of comment that it forces you to become a better drawer, that if you can't get good at draws, you're not going to be any good at mixed doubles. And would you say that your individual and team games have improved as a result of playing mixed doubles?
I think so. I think with mixed doubles, you do have to have draw weight. You have to be a little closer because you only have 1 sweeper, not 2 sweepers, so you can't carry it as far. And you have to be kind of close on the line, too. Again, you only have the 1 sweeper to save you if you're tight, or... yeah, so I think you do have to be a little bit more accurate in mixed doubles, and that carries over to the 4-person curling as well.
So big miss there from Team Clark, wrecking on the guard. It did open up the 2 yellow rocks in the rings. So Menard and Baker will try to figure out some way here of protecting those 2 yellow rocks and not leaving the double. So looking at either a guard or some sort of freeze. It's hard to throw the guard and guard them both perfectly. Looks like they've elected for the freeze on the red rock in the rings. Possibly over curling a little bit.
It looks like it's going to rub on yellow, but they might get a little friendly bump
they
here.
may get lucky here.
Yeah, not bad.
So that actually worked out pretty well for them.
Now,
this
is there a triple? It certainly appears there could be a double.
You can definitely get rid of 2.
Yellow by the broom there probably jams, but I think you get rid of 2 and you
Probably sit
keep
there.
your shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you also find, as you started to play mixed doubles, that it had to increase your focus on angles? With so many rocks tend to be crowded in around the 4-foot, less open style of play than in the regular game. Did you spend some time just thinking about doing the geometry, practicing specific angle shots to improve that part of the game as well?
Yeah, so I think like drag is such a huge impact in this game. You have so many frozen rocks, and knowing how they're going to react after hits are made, how they'll react on taps. I mean, the angles are a huge part of a 4-person game as well. But I think some of those more complicated concepts of drag and knowing how rocks that are frozen together will react is extremely important in this. I wouldn't say we necessarily go out and practice that, but I think you learn those types of things just by playing a lot of these types of games.
Makes you a little more aware.
Sure, absolutely. So it looks like Brady's rock didn't curl quite as much as he'd hoped for there. Ended up a little more over nose. Did get rid of 2 yellows, but left 1 that's pretty well frozen on that redstone.
Yeah, so Baker looking to make the nose hit here for their 2 points and make it a 1-point game coming home. I suspect that if this shot's made, we'll see Clarks use their power play in the last end as a defense tool more than an offense tool.
Make sure they have a chance to score. Outturn hit from Ray.
This one's really curling. Should be okay, I think.
Good shot. He got his 2.
And yes, 2 yellow. Meanwhile, over on 5, our one other game, throwing a hit against 2 red stones, and Team Walker did not make it. And end result is that Team Carlson has now moved ahead 7-6, down 7-1. I'm sorry, 8-7.
Other way around. Team Baton.
Oh, I'm
actually
sorry,
stole
I'm
2.
backward. Right. So anyway, the red team Walker is now 8-7 after 7 ends. So a 1-point lead coming home.
And Team Clark is using the power play in the last end.
So we'll see how Ray and Lisa decide to tackle this. We talked about playing the freeze as a good way of defending against the power play. A little different in this situation because they have to actually steal this end. So I would suspect to see them probably throw some sort of center guard here, or maybe draw to the top 4, but probably a center guard here.
If your announcers seem a little distracted, it's because the volunteers here at the Granite Kernel Club have started to put out lunch, and we can smell it in the
smells really
distance.
good.
So, yeah, it does.
Yeah, so definitely playing the center guard here.
So, if it's your shot, do you like the draw behind corner guard here? Do you like splitting the house? How would you play this?
I think you pretty well have to draw around the center guard here, the top 4. It's kind of the only way you can defend against them using the center guard to come around. The other option would be some sort of tick shot on the yellow center guard to push it to the side, which could be what they get here.
I don't think they
No,
planned
he's
the
by.
tick, because Brady's sweeping quite hard to get by it. Just over curled a bit.
Had nice weight, but just came
Yep.
out the other side. I think you'll see Ray try to come around and tap that one back and sit in front of the tee line behind his guard.
This looks a little bit heavy, maybe.
Yeah, no sweeping.
It is.
It's curling up nice.
It is
Curling a lot.
You might need to.
Oh, I think maybe they've actually were playing another guard here.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Just by the way she kind of followed it down the sheet, I'm thinking that was maybe the called shot, was to throw a second guard.
And made very effectively. There is no port there.
Did leave
Brady's
it,
talking about the double here to get rid of them both.
did leave a double peel. You just have to be careful you don't leave your shooter right there. You want to roll your shooter out of the way if you can.
So if they hit this right in the crotch, the Red Rock may actually squeeze through the hole and end up in the rings as well. It looks close to that.
Wow, that really shot through.
Catch the yellow. Everyone's yelling, catch the yellow.
Fans are getting right into it.
So that was a great shot. Loses both guards, doesn't leave the shooter there.
Perfect.
You'll probably see now Ray and Lisa throw guards for another couple rocks until their last one, and then try to make some sort of freeze or tap or come around that red rock half buried. There's not a lot for them to work with now at this point. Yeah, and now Clarks will try to peel this guard.
It's looking a lot less like mixed doubles right now.
It is. A little bit surprised that they've elected to peel it this way, actually. If they happen to jam this on the red rock in the rings, Ray and Lisa may actually have a chance at some point to lie 2, and could greatly change the outcome of this end.
Yeah, it's cross-face, as it turns out, which may have been the plan.
Okay.
Wasn't a ton of weight
No,
there.
it wasn't.
Yeah.
That works.
So actually playing the freeze here now, it looks like. And then probably hoping that Clarks will try to make some sort of play on it, maybe blast them both out of the 4-foot and leave them the come around freeze on their last.
Here comes the freeze attempt. Needs to curl a little bit.
Yeah, quite a bit of weight.
Did not curl like they hoped. Clark will just try to eliminate this rock. I think they're just going to peel it out, not leave any more rocks in the rings than they need to.
Then you'll probably see Ray and Lisa try to play some sort of hit and roll over towards that corner guard.
There's no one sweeping it. What's going on?
A good shot, hits and rolls it away here.
Actually, by staying there, they kind of forced Ray and Lisa to... They're not able to hit and try to roll behind anything. They're going to be wide open because they have to sit shot. They're just going to tap it back just enough to be shot and sit in front of it. Hope for a jam. Kind of a tricky little shot here. With the extra weight, it's going to run a lot straighter.
This needs to curl a little bit. Not sure the weight's
I don't
there.
think she has enough weight.
Yep.
No, not enough weight.
And that is it. While they shake, we will move over to show you the end of the game on sheet 5.
So this is the game that's had quite a swing in the scoreboard over the last 3 ends. Like we mentioned, Yellow was up 7-1, find themselves down 8-7 playing the last end. And Yellow certainly running out of ways to get a second rock in there.
They're sitting one right now. One more rock each to come, it looks like.
Did you see what Red called here?
No, I did not.
Looks like maybe a guard.
It is a guard.
So this has a pretty good chance of going to an extra end here. They may be able to run that guard into the yellow rock at the top of the 4 and get rid of both the reds, but it's kind of hard to see the angle from where we're sitting here.
Yeah. I worry that the back red doesn't move, but that the shot rock does.
Yeah, it's a little scary.
I'm not sure this is a risk I would choose to take. Sure, if you score 2, you win the game, but you could easily lose it too.
So they also looked at the outturn draw to the side of the button. Very difficult shot, but probably there. Not sure what they decided on.
I think maybe I was wrong on how many rocks were left.
Oh, I think you're right. Actually, yellow maybe still has 2 rocks to come here.
So in turn, draw around the last place guard.
I think just trying to sit in front of it somewhere that they might be able to use it for a tap or a run back of some sort. I think that's what they wanted.
Looks like Sean called for another guard just farther out, take away the raise or run back.
Yeah, I think they're just going to guard the one that Carlson's team just threw. And then I don't think they're going to have a shot for 2. I don't know if you can draw on the left-hand side there or not. It's pretty tough.
Oh, coming back down to look again.
I think maybe they got to the other end of the rings and realized that that yellow rock that Team Carlson just threw is a little more buried behind the guard than they had initially thought.
Looks like they're still thinking of throwing a guard. comes the last rock for red. Looks like a
This is
guard.
going to rub on the existing guard. Might even
It's gonna
get to the inside.
overcurl
Huh?
of it, yeah.
It overcurled and didn't really do anything there, unfortunately.
And
Yep. So they've
looks
just
like they're
selected
throwing
to
it away.
throw this
Yep.
rock away. So
Sure enough.
this one's heading to an extra end.
We will stay right here to enjoy all the action. You guys didn't know we were going to overtime when you volunteered to be on the webcast.
No problem. It's been fun doing this. So
And here they checked to see if it was there. And it was. And Sean will kick himself for the rest of the day because he loves to play runbacks.
So as they get set up for the extra end, just another kind of quirky rule to throw out there for mixed doubles is that if for whatever reason you manage to play the whole game without using your power play, it cannot be used in the extra end.
Oh, interesting. Not a rule I knew about.
So Baton and Walker looking to complete their comeback here in this game after being down 6 points early, have fought their way back to force an extra end.
This one slipped a little deeper than they might have wanted, but
Yeah,
not a
good.
bad position.
Gives opportunity for the Red Rocks to try to freeze one in the top of the button here.
Now, when you go to the extra end, how much time is each team given?
I'm actually not sure how to answer that one for you. A lot of the
Okay.
events that we've played in, the time clock and the amounts of time that we've had has not been overly consistent, so I'm not sure what the actual rule on time there is. This event started with 22 minutes, and they actually switched that to 24 minutes halfway through the event. At our national championship last year, we actually had 26 minutes and 2 one-minute timeouts. So I think a lot of the Canadian teams here have found it a little bit more rushed than what we're used to.
Sure. Well, I asked in part because I noticed that Jillian Walker seemed to be in the hack and out of it very quickly on her first shot, and I was wondering if maybe there was feeling some time pressure, but I suppose they've restarted the clock with the extra end anyway.
Yeah, so normally you, regardless of how much time you had left on your clock from the first 8 ends, both teams' clocks would start from the new starting point. I'm assuming probably 4 or 5 minutes. I'm not sure exactly what it would be.
So there's some good weight being shown by Sean here.
Oh, racked on the guard.
Did get the guard, probably plan B.
Yeah, not
Was
a bad,
looking for the double, I think.
not a bad way to miss. At least you open it up.
Now, for those curlers, social curlers who may be watching the webcast, there was a change in timing a few years ago. to the thinking time concept. In the old days, you got 72, 73, 74 minutes of playing time. Now you have thinking time. Can you explain briefly how does thinking time start and stop? In other words, when are you on the clock as a team and when are you off the clock?
Basically, once the other team's rocks all come to rest and they move out of the way, your clock starts, and you're timed for the amount of time it takes you to call and throw the shot. So the clock will stop when you are delivering your stone and it crosses the tee line. Then that's when your clock stops. So basically, with thinking time, it's a little more fair, I think, because in the old system, you got penalized for throwing a lot of draws because they take longer to travel down the ice. So in this way, it only penalizes you if you're slow to call your shot.
And when you say it stops at the tee line or crossing the tee line, you mean during your slide out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So here's Sean again with the double attempt. Only got one of them. Might have over curled again.
Leaves a hit and roll for Team Carlson. Roll behind their one that's top 12.
Yes, if they make this rock, this hit and roll to the top of the button, Red's going to be in a bit of trouble here.
Do you like this hit and roll choice over just a draw to freeze on their own stone?
I'm guessing that their thinking here is that if they don't play the hit and roll, the other team will play the hit and roll.
Sure.
So it's a good way to take that away from them. They actually hit and rolled away.
Yeah, a little outside, I think. For those of you watching the webcast, two of the players here, both of the males, Sean Baton and Derek McLean, lifetime curlers here at the Granite Club. They have many family members watching this game. Hasn't come to blows yet, but we'll see how it finishes up.
So I'm not sure what they ended up calling here. I'm assuming they're either peeling the guard or trying to run the guard into the shot rock. Did you see their call?
I didn't see an indication.
Yeah, that's certainly one thing that makes webcasting a mixed doubles event a little tougher is we don't have a skip down there knocking the broom, showing exactly what the call is.
Sometimes you're not sure.
Plenty of weight here, so it's
Looks like a run
definitely going to
back.
move something. And
Good
the
result.
triple.
It's a
Wide
a
open
great
now.
shot.
Yeah, it really is.
As much as drawing is really important in this game, being able to throw the big weight accurately also really comes in handy.
So yellow will have an opportunity to lie two here. This is where the question comes into play as to whether you want the other team to throw a draw or you want them to throw a hit. If you want them to throw a hit here, I think you're trying to put this somewhere in the top 4 foot area. If you want them to throw a draw, maybe you go to the you go behind the red guard, or you maybe draw somewhere open on the other side, making them think about whether they want to play the draw or play the hit.
Looks like she's throwing the out turn, so seems to be top 4 or left of center line.
Looks a little heavy.
Yeah, no sweeping yet.
So
Well, it is second shot.
So they did stick around, so Red will have to make the decision here as to whether or not they want to throw the draw or they want to throw the hit. The hit is a little bit tough to stick around for shot rock.
Looks like a draw in turn here. Or it's a... Yeah, it can't be a hit.
No, it looks like
No,
a
it
draw.
certainly looks like a draw.
Looks like the way it's
Cleaning
closed, he's
it
just
in.
cleaning it in. Might be sliding a little bit.
This is going to
Bit
be
heavy.
close.
Yeah.
Wow.
And monitor says...
Looks like it slid too far.
Yeah, it's second or third. Sure enough.
McLean and Carlson steal it.
And there we have it, folks. So Carlson and McLean win the game on a missed final draw. And let's review. So they move to 4-1. Bate and Walker are 1-4. Over on sheet 4, Polo Peterson won that game to move to 4-1. Sequino and Shibuya went 0-5 so far in the event. On sheet 3, Clark and Clark moved up to 3-2. We'll have to check the standings to see if they have an opportunity to move into the playoff rounds or not. Baker Menard finished 2-3. Let's see, sheet 2 was won by Hamilton and Hamilton, so they're 4-1. Smith Walker with the loss, 1-4. And then finally on sheet 1, Thomas Virtue move up to 4-1, and Calcagno, Miche are 1-4. Want to thank my guest announcers today for sitting in, Katie and Sean Cottrell from Ontario. I hope I pronounced that right.
Cottrell, but close.
Cottrell. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed it. It was great having you here with us. We will be back on the air again at 2 p.m. Pacific for the next draw. And on behalf of everyone involved, we hope you've enjoyed this webcast of the 2016 Pacific Northwest Mixed Doubles Invitational. We'll see you again in a few hours.